there's some incredibly amazing, powerful things out there that we either don't know about or we take for granted, like that we have at home or we have in our medicine cabinet, but we don't realize how powerful they really are. We don't realize that we can actually use them therapeutically. We can use them for medicine. We can use them to heal ourselves and our children because, again, it's not mainstream information. And a lot of this type of information is suppressed. A lot of this information is overlooked, or I would even say ridiculed, right? Because modern medicine is better. And so I think a lot of the truths of some of these things has been lost or overshadowed. So I brought some books too, just for fun. I wish I would have thought of it earlier because these were the ones in my office, but I have a bunch at home too. But I brought like the Magnesium Miracle, Healing Clay, Living Clay, books on salt. I have a whole book on apple cider vinegar. Like any one of these things we're going to talk about today, there's books written about, like multiple books written about, right? This is actually one of my favorite books. It's called Our Earth, Our Cure. And this is hard to find anymore, but it's actually written by a French naturopathic doctor in the 1800s, which those are the best books. If you can get a hold of any book on medicine written in the 1800s, you have found gold, okay? Because that's when like we had real medicine. So this naturopathic doctor it's called Our Earth, Our Cure because he used clay, dirt, soil, along with herbal remedies for all of his treatments. But all of his treatments included clay in some sort. So that's a really cool book. And so yeah, I just want to help kind of bring these things back. And the reason I changed it from 7 to 10 is because, I could have changed it from 7 healers of the world to like 50, but I added 3 that I thought were really important. And so I might spend more time on some than others, probably give you some real world examples because I think there's power in the testimony, there's power in real stories. So any one of these things I could probably tell you 10 stories about just because I've been in this world for so long and I've seen so many really cool things. And yeah, and like I said, you can find books on all of these things if you're interested. Apple cider vinegar is where we're going to start. Let's save questions for the end, if you don't mind, just because it helps the flow of the class better, but I'll be happy to stay and answer questions. The thing too, I guess I would say the reason why these things are so important is because all these things we're going to talk about are really, really, really affordable, right? So if there's a way to cure sickness and disease and ailments and even serious things like cancer and things like that for really, really cheap, shouldn't we know about it? Right? But I'd like to believe there's a reason we don't know about it because they don't want you to know these things. They don't want you to know how simple it can be to cure something as scary as cancer. And one of the guys I'm going to talk about that I'll just mention now, because he wrote a couple of the articles I put at the end. It's funny, when I was researching this, I forgot how much of a ridiculous amount of information I have on all this stuff because I have like folders of stuff from like years ago, and I started pulling up all these old articles and I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so good. But there's this guy named Dr. Mark Sircus, Sircus. You could check out any of his books, but he wrote a whole book on baking soda. The name of the book is Sodium Bicarbonate. He wrote books on magnesium, and he actually did work with cancer patients using magnesium, baking soda, and iodine. That's how he was curing people with cancer. Again, very affordable things. So we'll start with apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar got real popular with Paul Bragg, right? Bragg's apple cider vinegar. I can't remember how old when he was died, but I think he was in his 90s, and he was pretty healthy dude. But he wrote a really cool book I like called The Miracle of Fasting. That's a really good book. I didn't bring that one over. But Paul Bragg wrote a book called The Miracle of Fasting, and he obviously wrote books on apple cider vinegar too. But apple cider vinegar is something I've used for people with gut issues, digestive issues. It's great for high blood pressure. Again, it's very affordable. I'll be honest, I don't know. Maybe one of you can tell me. I don't know what apple cider vinegar to buy these days, because I heard that apple cider vinegar got bought by, who was it? The Braggs got bought by... No, it was a couple. It was a famous couple, like a famous couple in Hollywood. They took it over, and then they're contracting with Bill Gates's weird spray stuff he's spraying on the apples, and supposedly maybe the apples aren't... Yeah, what is it called? The appeal stuff. Yeah, so there's just everything's weird and gets contaminated and destroyed by evil humans, but whatever, I won't get into that. But apple cider vinegar, if you can find a good quality one, and I still use Bragg's. If there is an alternative that's a good company, I'd love to know about it. I do believe you want to get the one with the mother. I do believe that's the most medicinal kind you can get. But yeah, apple cider vinegar is great for, you can see it on the sheet. I gave you a lot of information here. First aid, it can be used on burns, sunburns. It really is good for allergies. I'd say one of the best, so I have a kidney cleanse drink that's on our kidney cleanse. So if you were to go out there, grab our sheet on our kidney cleanse, there's a drink where I have people do apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and baking soda in a drink. Those are 3 of the things that are on this list of the healers. And I've had people just do that drink consistently every day, and they feel like it just totally changed their life. It just healed so many different issues in their body. So I'll still do that drink sometimes, but because I've been so big on baking soda lately and acid-alkaline balance, that I've been doing baking soda separately. Because if you do baking soda combined with something acidic, it can offset it a little bit because of the chemistry. So even though there's still a lot of benefits to doing that drink, I now pull out the baking soda and do baking soda separately. But one of the things that I think is really powerful with apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, cayenne, one of the reasons I think all of those things are so powerful is that they're mucus busters. And a lot of the issues people have going on in their body related to congestion and excessive mucus buildup. And that mucus can be toxic. It can be full of candida and fungus and mold and other infectious organisms. So anything you can do to clear mucus out of your body is going to be extremely, extremely beneficial. And you might notice if you start doing some of these things, you might notice, I do. If you start doing large amounts of these things or just doing it consistently, you might start noticing that your nose is running, or usually it's like you actually start hacking up mucus. Like you're actually pulling mucus up out of your lungs and like expelling mucus more constantly, because almost everybody has an excessive mucus buildup. And so much of our health is related to the health of our mucosal linings inside of our body. So that's one of the reasons I think some of those things are so powerful. So for digestion, it's great because it's got enzymes in it that can help with digestion. A lot of people have low stomach acid. So apple cider vinegar is amazing for digestion, and you can take it with meals or just right before meals. A lot of people I've seen have gotten off of taking antacids or other things by replacing it with apple cider vinegar, because apple cider vinegar is going to help with digestion because of the enzymes and the acidity. Remember, your stomach acid is acid, so it's going to help with digestion because of the acidity. Let's see. And if you go to preparations and remedies, we have it. Obviously, there's easy ways to take it in food by using it in salad dressing and mixing it in foods and things like that. Gargle mouthwash. There's a couple little recipes in here. Again, this is from that class that I did years ago. And so yeah, so that's apple cider vinegar. I'm going to move on to cayenne. I'm going to probably talk more at the end on magnesium and baking soda, because I've just been using those so much lately therapeutically and seeing such amazing results with those. Also, maybe I'll share at the end, and I don't have an exact schedule yet, but we decided what class, because I hadn't done classes in a couple years, and I forgot how much I love doing this. And so we kind of decided what classes we're going to do for next year. So I was just going to share with you what some of those classes are going to be next year, and in case you're interested. So Cayenne. Cayenne it's a miracle. So Dr. Christopher, if you've heard of Dr. Christopher, he was one of those old school herbalist guys from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and his products are still available. Who's used Dr. Christopher's products? Okay, one. Okay, so you don't know much about Dr. Christopher maybe. That's cool. But Dr. Christopher was a brilliant herbalist, old school guy. His company's still around. And I have it. I've shared it with a couple people before, but he has it's a book on cayenne pepper, and it's like 100 and some pages long, just on cayenne pepper. It's pretty mind-boggling. And then some of the stories, one story was really cool, is that cayenne pepper, it seems counterintuitive, but it actually stops bleeding, like serious bleeding. And there was an emergency that happened. Somebody got cut, I can't remember, knife, chainsaw, it was something really serious. And the paramedics hadn't arrived yet. And the person put cayenne pepper in the wound. And the paramedics showed up and freaked out that they did this, and then realized that they saved the guy's life by putting cayenne pepper in the wound, because they had heard about that. And I think these paramedics were like in Utah or something like that. They actually started carrying cayenne pepper with them and using it during emergencies. So cayenne pepper can immediately cauterize a wound. Again, that's just one of so many different things it does. But there's nothing better for circulation and blood flow. Nothing better. I have people, so some people have trouble sweating. They just don't sweat very easily. Some people will get a sauna and not sweat even when they get in a sauna. I tell them to take a little cayenne pepper before they get in the sauna, and then they sweat. The other thing you can take before getting in a sauna is niacin, because it vasodilates the arteries and brings all the blood flow to the surface. But cayenne pepper should be something I think that everyone should be using either in food or in like a tincture form, because of the benefits it has for digestion, for warming the body. You think about when the body's sick and the body's not well, usually how people feel is cold. They feel cold all the time. Or sometimes they alternate back and forth between hot and cold. But overall, when your body temperature is low, that's a very dangerous situation, because that means your immune system's down. So anything you can do to promote heat is going to be beneficial. Heat is how we emulsify toxins. You might have heard of toxins are stored in fat cells. So heat is going to emulsify and break toxins out of the fat cells, and heat is going to improve immune function. That's why thyroid health is so important. So anything you can do to promote heat. Now, of course, there can be people that it can be excessively hot, and that's getting into like a Chinese medicine thing. But in general, I think most people err on the side of being cold. A lot of people have low thyroid. A lot of people's fingers and toes are cold. A lot of people have poor circulation. So cayenne should be your go-to. And it's easy peasy to just put a few drops in water. I have a cayenne tincture. I do a mineral drink every single morning. I take cayenne every single morning. It's just part of my routine. Any of these things can just be a part of what you take on a regular daily basis. And then the cool thing about it is you can take any of these things on a regular daily basis just for overall health, but you can also learn to use them and take them therapeutically for different health issues or health concerns. So let's see, what else does it say about cayenne we want to talk about? So heart, I think it's like one of the best things you can do for heart and circulation and blood flow. Let's just talk heart real quick. If you think about how right now the number one quote unquote disease that kills the most people before they should. So like we should be dying of old age, right? We're all gonna die. Ideally we die of old age. Well, we don't die of old age. We die of heart disease, and we die of cancer, and we die of diseases, which I don't think God intended for us. So if you want to prevent heart disease, which is the #1 killer of men and women, I believe cayenne should be at the top of your list and magnesium should be at the top of your list. And I've said this in cardiovascular classes I've done in the past and classes I've done in heart disease. I believe if people took the right amount of magnesium every day, if they took a little cayenne pepper, it'd be impossible to have heart disease. I believe cardiologists would save tens of thousands of lives if they put their patients on magnesium and cayenne pepper. But we don't. We don't. In fact, I know nurses who have literally gotten fired for recommending magnesium to the patients. And the doctor said, no, stop doing that. And she's like, well, I just want to tell people about magnesium. And so she did it again and you're fired. Like, that's how messed up it is. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that about heart health. I think that's crucial. So you'll see here, just under blood and circulatory system, how it can prevent heart attacks, help with palpitations, normalize blood pressure. What's cool about cayenne is it can bring high blood pressure down and it can bring low blood pressure up. That is the cool thing about herbs, because they help balance the body based on what the needs of the body are. It's a blood thinner. It's a blood cleanser. It can break down arterial plaque. Most good, blood circulation formulas are all going to have cayenne in it, but also those formulas for leg veins and spider veins are should have cayenne in it. Also for hemorrhoids, I always recommend cayenne, because hemorrhoids is a stagnation, a pooling of the blood vessels, and you have to increase blood flow and circulation to help relieve hemorrhoids. So cool. Under body system, you can see there, we kind of talked about it. Increases perspiration, promotes sweating. It's going to promote the elimination of toxins through skin. So taking cayenne and then hopping in a sauna, does that sound awesome? Is it just me? Okay. Here's a crazy one, ulcers. Now, who would think I have an ulcer that hurts, and if I take cayenne, it's going to help heal it? That sounds like ridiculous. It sounds like the opposite thing. And not everybody can handle, it's right in front of you. If anybody can handle, if they can handle cayenne, oh my gosh, cayenne will heal an ulcer. Now, not everybody can handle it right away, so I would do baking soda or some other things first, like some slippery elm or some different teas first. But as soon as they can handle cayenne, I put the cayenne pepper in there because it's the fastest way to heal an ulcer. Sounds counterintuitive. There are eye formulas that have cayenne pepper in it. Who here wants to put cayenne pepper in their eye? I do. So you wouldn't put straight cayenne pepper in your eye, but if you have a formula that has just small trace amounts of cayenne pepper in the eye, what's cayenne pepper going to do in the eye? It can actually help reverse cataracts because it can break down calcifications in the eye, which is why it's in, like Christopher's herbal eye formula has a little bit of cayenne in it.
Are you using this in tincture or powder?
Tincture. Yeah, but I mean, both are great. I like tincture because if you take a tincture, it's going right into the blood, right into the lymph. If you take capsule, that's great for the gut health and digestion. Also critters, like everybody has critters. You know what I'm talking about when I say critters, right? Okay, I'm talking about candida, yeast, fungus, mold, clostridia, parasites, Lyme disease. All critters hate cayenne pepper. So there you go. Inflammation, arthritis, rheumatism. It's great for headaches. Why? Because headaches are often a pooling, a stagnation issue. And if you increase circulation and blood flow, you can knock out headaches. So cayenne and magnesium can be two of your best tools for headaches too. Just take cayenne every day. Like, right? That's my point. Just take cayenne every day, just because it's easy and it makes sense and it's affordable. All right. And then you can read the history, but there's a little bit of this in here that's cool about how much like ancient cultures use these things. And because again, it was just a normal part of their lives. I said this in a class before, but I love Ayurvedic medicine and I love how they use herbs and spices in everything. So get an Ayurvedic cookbook and learn to start using herbs and spices in your food every day, because if you start using cumin and turmeric and cayenne and things like that regularly in your food, then you're getting those benefits of those things every day. And it's very affordable. So clay. Clay is, so Genesis 2:7. The Lord God formed man out of dust of the earth, right? We are clay. We're made of clay. And that's why the minerals are so crucial. And so clay, as I mentioned in this book, he used it in all of his treatments. And I have used clay packs successfully in so many things. My daughter, do I use clay packs a lot? Yeah. Yeah, these kids know if they got some funky thing going on, Dad's going to make a clay pack, right? So like a plastic wrap. Yep. Yep. So I've used it on boils. I've used it on severe wounds, like severe wounds, like that we're getting infected and pussy and swelling up. I shared in a class before, my wife got a brown recluse spider bite and it started purple spreading through her whole leg. We did a clay pack, wrapped it. The next morning, that thing was the size of a dime. It was almost completely gone. All the redness and everything completely disappeared. So clay is miraculous. Clay is great to take internally as well. So we have a colon cleanse. The Spirit of Health colon cleanse. We have two different versions. The Spirit of Health colon cleanse is based off of the work of Dr. Bernard Jensen and Dr. Harvey Kellogg. Where have you heard that word Kellogg? Did you know that the man who started Kellogg's was a medical doctor who treated over 40,000 people, and all he focused on was their gut health? And he used clay and fibers and colon cleansing and enemas to restore people's health. He focused primarily on the gut. And his products weren't too bad when he first started out, and then they all went to you know what. So, and now there's obviously protests against Kellogg, which is great. I love it. So, so clay internally is like a magnet for toxins. So think of it this way. So I just want to explain this so it makes sense. Okay, so you guys understand what polarity is. You understand that a battery has a positive and a negative charge. All right? So clay has a negative charge. So many things that are good for us have a negative charge, like negative ions that come from beaches and waves crashing and waterfalls and that smell of rain after a storm that's like the best smell ever, right? So those are all negative ions. And so clay has a negative charge. So if you think of a sponge, if you put a sponge on something, it absorbs it into the sponge. Well, clay does something different because of the polarity change. It adsorbs. So instead of AB absorbs, it's AD adsorbs. And what adsorption is when things are attracted to it like a magnet. So in other words, if you take clay, everything that's a toxin that has a positive charge is like drawn to the clay like a magnet, sticks to it, and then you can flush it out. You might not know that many animals at zoos are fed clay on a regular basis. It's a normal part of their diet in the wild. And then zookeepers learned that if they didn't give the animals the clay, they would get certain diseases and infections. So by naturally getting clay in your diet, you're protecting yourself from getting diseases and infections. Humans, for the most part, would normally have clay in their diet. There was a whole, I don't know if it was National Geographic. It was one of those shows where they did this whole special on these people called like the clay people. And it was because they actually rolled clay and ate it as a normal part of their diet. Birds constantly are eating dirt and clay. And so it is a way to protect yourself internally as well from toxins and from getting sick. So it's why it's part of the colon cleanse. What's crazy is if you do the colon cleanse, if you've ever heard of the term mucoid plaque, clay helps pull these large, oh man, if I would have done a slideshow, I don't know if that'd have been good or bad, but people get this buildup of tar-like substance in their colon, in their bowels wall. Now, we don't know it because you can't see inside of your colon, but when it comes out, you can see it. And I've had people do the colon cleanse, okay, and I'm sorry, this is gross, but something starts to come out and it doesn't come out all the way and they have to pull it out, okay? And these things can be this long. And it's thick and rubbery and tar-like. And it's called mucoid plaque, and it's a real thing. And I see it, and there's books written about it, and this type of work and research has been done for 150 plus years. And before that, but at least people really talking about it and writing books about it. My point is that the clay helps pull all those toxins and start to pull that old waste off of the bowel walls. And so when you clean all that, think about this thick stuff on your bowel walls. Well, how are you absorbing nutrients? How are you eliminating toxins if you have all this thick, black, tar-like stuff? And everybody sitting here is like, I probably don't have that in my body. And I'm up here going, yeah, you probably do. So you can decide if you want to play with that or not. But that is the purpose of the clay in the colon cleanse, just like the example I gave to you of animals. Now, just recently, my wife, she has allergies just to dust. We clean the closets and mommy starts sneezing like crazy, right? Crazy sneezing. Yes, it makes her jump. It's so loud. So I was like, all right, before we start cleaning the closets or doing whatever, just take a tablespoon of clay. Now, when I say take a teaspoon or a tablespoon of clay, I'm talking liquid clay. Okay, if you took a tablespoon of powdered clay, you probably wouldn't poop for 2 weeks. All right, so let's not do that. All right, you got to know how to take the stuff, right? But if you take a teaspoon or more of liquid clay, it is phenomenal for allergies. Why? I just told you, it adsorbs. So all of that hay fever, ragweed, dog hair, cat hair, whatever the allergen is, it's going to be drawn to it like a magnet. You can flush your sinuses with clay. You can put a little clay in water and drink it, and it's amazing for allergies. So amazing for bowel cleansing. It's also very alkalizing to the system, which we'll talk a lot more about. Oh my gosh, if we have time, but like magnesium and baking soda especially are so crucial for alkalinity. So in clay here, you can see under digestive tract, it says hemorrhoids, parasites, it expels worms. First aid, we kind of talked about a little bit. Bumps, bruises, wounds, cuts, splinters, and it's a drawing agent. It'll draw and it'll pull. Who here's done a clay mask on their face? I have. What's that? The green one, yeah. It had chlorella or spirulina or something in it. But it's very drawing. So it's going to draw out. If you got a crazy splinter that you just can't get that thing out, just wrap it and put a clay pack in it and it'll just pull it out. So clay is an amazing drawing agent as well. Let's see, what else does it say about clay that I need to talk about? Types of clay, there's different types of clay. I don't want to get into all that. I basically stick to a bentonite clay, but there are different types of clays used in facial products and beauty that have maybe more drawing power, or more that one is more of a calcium-based clay or a sodium-based clay, which totally just depends on the area of the country or the world that it comes from. But you want to probably buy a quality clay because you want to know it's free of contaminants. And, obviously just like digging clay up out of your yard might not be the best source, especially in today's world. So you still want to get the right one. Let's see, what else? Anything else on clay? Like I said, we could totally do classes. I didn't have it down for the classes next year. Maybe I'll have to do some classes on how to make different poultices and clay packs and different things like that, like just to give some people some practicals. But there's a lot of good information in here. So when I do make a clay pack, maybe it depends on what it is, but I will actually usually use aloe vera juice or apple cider vinegar to mix with the powdered clay to make the paste that you want to apply and then wrap. So, you know what? I remember somebody had a really big cancerous tumor on their neck and just looked up some natural remedies and took apple cider vinegar, combined it with baking soda, made a paste, put it on there every day, and it fell off. So, clay baths. You can also take a clay bath. You can take like you want to do the liquid clay, and you want to put like at least a cup or two in a bath. Great for children if they're sick or they're struggling with anything. I have a recipe I've given to many parents I work with kids, where I have them do clay, baking soda, sometimes even borax in a bath, again, depending on what the child's working through. But baths are powerful because the heat opens up all the pores, and then you can get that into the body and into the skin, especially for skin conditions. Clay actually is miraculous for any skin condition. If somebody has eczema or psoriasis or some nasty spot, it's going to be amazing because it has minerals in it. It's going to help pull and draw poisons and toxins. It's alkaline. So because of the properties of what clay is, it is amazing for any kind of skin condition. So there's another one. Garlic. My gosh, I feel like I'm going fast, but it's too slow because there's 10 of them. So garlic. The history of garlic's pretty fascinating. Yes, there's a whole bunch of stuff here on the history of garlic. Garlic was something actually very strongly used by Hippocrates and some of the ancient healers because of how strong it was. But it's phenomenal. So trying to think of how to use garlic. We call them garlic shooters. Has anybody done a garlic shooter? You just chew the garlic. Oh, she's hardcore. Come on. I would take lemon juice and then press a clove of garlic, okay? Add a squirt of cayenne pepper and shoot it. Called it a garlic shooter. So I know there's a couple here, but any of like your crunchy granola mamas out there, and you want to get your kid well, then, there's things like fire cider, which is kind of a combination. I mean, if you look at the ingredients of fire cider, it's all these things. So you want to learn to make like a fire cider, or you could do like a garlic shooter or something like that. But with people having acute issue, cold, flus, they're sick, and you just want to get over it quick, shooting garlic, oh my gosh, there's nothing more powerful. And as far as a bug killer, I mean, if garlic's hard for us to consume, and we're like 120 to 200 pound adult humans, what do you think a parasite thinks about that? They're like, right? So I'll tell you a story. I won't say who it was. Somebody I've told this story before, but I'm going to share it again for those of you who haven't heard it. A lady had excruciating tooth pain. And nothing was working. All the anti-inflammatories and turmeric and all the stuff wasn't touching it. So I said, you should dry fast, because dry fasting is very powerful and there's an infection up there. The dry fast will knock it out. So she did a 36-hour dry fast. So a 36-hour dry fast is when you stop all fluids, food and drink, including water, 6 p.m. You do no food or water the next day, and then by the time you wake up the following morning, that's 36 hours. So I said, and then so she did that, and the tooth pain was completely gone. And I'm like, well, because you just did a dry fast, and now whatever you put in your body's going to have an extreme reaction and response to, including any infectious disease organisms. So I said, why don't you do a garlic enema? So a garlic enema is where you take 3-4 cloves of fresh garlic, press it in water on a little pot in the stove, just a little bit of water, boil it for just 2-3 minutes, strain it, and you're basically adding garlic water to your enema. So that's how she broke her dry fast, was garlic water in the bum, right? And passed a toilet bowl full of what we call fish tapeworms that were all 2 to 3 foot long in the toilet, because the parasites were also thirsty. And they got a big dose of garlic water that they were not ready for. So there you go. I could tell you more stories, but that's a good one. So garlic also is incredibly, incredibly powerful for heart health, circulation, blood pressure, purifying the blood. It definitely is one of the best, if not the best, bug killers, which is why it's so well known for colds and flus. Whether it's a virus or a bacteria or a parasite or whatever, they do not like garlic. So fresh garlic's definitely the best. Garlic capsules, don't underestimate it. If you're like, man, I just can't be pounding garlic, well, just take some garlic capsules. One of the reasons garlic's so powerful is what mineral is high in garlic? Sulfur. It's very, very high in sulfur. It's why cruciferous vegetables are good for us. It's why Brussels sprouts are good for us, and sometimes we don't like them, sometimes we do. Depends on the person. But the high sulfur content is very powerful. So it is known for cancer, tumors, ear infections. There are garlic oil eardrops. So what is an ear infection? It's a critter, right? It's a bacteria or a fungus or something affecting the ear. My favorite thing for ear is just, what do we put in your ears, lady?
Hydrogen peroxide.
Hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is a miracle for the ears. Why? Because oxygen kills critters, all critters. If we could learn how to kill critters in our bodies, 80% of our health problems would go away. I'm serious. All right, so infections, immune system. Look at this list. It says plague and leprosy. Right? Who talks about that anymore? Right? But these are the kind of things that they used back in the day when they had plagues and serious things like that. Garlic was a big one. An expectorant, why? Anticatarrhal, what does that mean? Eliminating mucus. Another great way, like you do one of those garlic shooters, you take a few fresh cloves of garlic, you're going to be spitting up some mucus. I pretty much guarantee you. And you might get a really upset tummy and feel like you're going to throw up. So you might not do it on an empty stomach. You might have to do it with food. You can play around with that. I don't want anybody going home and being like, Vaughn told me to take garlic. And no, anyway. So, but yeah, you do have to learn how to do things properly. Toothaches. Let's see. What else about garlic?
Just to get the rawness of garlic, and you can find dead ticks.
Okay, so there you go. Use it for dogs. Yeah.
My dog and the died, the garlic is in their blood system.
Right.
Mhm.
Just technically the bug spray.
Yeah.
The garlic, the way I like it, just
Yeah, garlic and honey. Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, a great way to use garlic is to put it in honey because that's going to help with the taste and you still get the medicinal benefits. So yeah, that's a great idea. So let's see, garlic, there's a whole history of garlic, some really cool stories in there. All right, lemon. So lemon is obviously high in vitamin C. Lemon's also a cleanser. Lemon, everybody should be using to clean their home instead of toxic chemicals, because really all you need to clean anything in your house is hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and lemon. That's it, you're done. You don't need, I mean, think about how big the chemical industry is and all that crap that's, sorry, forgive my French, all those, you walk down that chemical aisle in the Walmart or Target and don't you be like, oh my gosh, it's like you're walking down like death row or something. It stinks. And it's like, why? Why do we need all of these crazy chemicals when we have lemon, baking soda, and peroxide? I'm telling you, that's all you need to clean anything in your house. And if you want better smells and you want to get some thieves oil or the On Guard or add some other things to it, great. But like, that's really all you need. So another great mucus buster, I already mentioned it. Antiviral, antibacterial, antiseptic, great for the immune system. It talks here about, cleansing. So another one for blood purification. So I forgot to mention this with apple cider vinegar, so I'll say it with lemon. Apple cider vinegar and lemon, I feel like, are the two most effective tools for breaking down irregular and abnormal deposits in the body. So give me an example of an irregular or abnormal deposit in the human body. Cyst. Thank you. What else? Calcium deposits, like calcifications. Ganglion cysts. Kidney stones. Gallstones. So these irregular deposits need to be broken down, especially calcium deposits. And calcium deposits can be broken down by lemon and apple cider vinegar. So again, I think liquid's the best form. I think doing like a drink, that's why the apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, baking soda drink is nice. So I still use that, but usually I use that when I want to break down somebody's deposits. So like if somebody has, that's why it's in the kidney cleanse. I've seen so many people avoid surgery from kidney stones by doing the kidney cleanse. My wife got kidney stones. It was not a fun day. She said she would rather give birth. Like it's true. That the pain is that severe. And we went on an all liquid diet and we did the kidney cleanse drink and we juiced and she passed the stones. Again, it was a rough day, but you can take care of these things at home or you can prevent them. So like I said, I'm going to do baking soda separately when it comes to alkalizing, but when it comes to breaking down deposits in the body, apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and then the baking soda is nice because it kind of offsets the acidity of the lemon and apple cider vinegar. But those are great for kidney stones, especially, but any deposit. So another deposit that we didn't mention would be arterial plaque. So heart disease, again, number one killer. People have clogged and blocked arteries. And all of the things we talked about so far. If you do garlic, if you do cayenne, if you do lemon, if you do apple cider vinegar, you can't get clogged arteries because all those things help break those deposits down that are accumulating abnormally in the system. So let's see, what else? Lemon water. Oh, it talks about nasal for using it nasally. Okay, olive oil. Yeah, olive oil. Yeah, I think it's, as far as any oil's concerned, because there's all kinds of information out there about coconut oil and avocado oil and different things. I still think olive oil is like king when it comes to healing oils. Like they say possibly it's like one of the main reasons the Mediterranean diet's so successful, or it's so helpful with people's, skin and things like that. But there are a lot of nutrients in olive oil that are very powerful. I think part of the challenge is getting a quality olive oil today. Have some of you guys heard about some of the stuff going on? I'll tell you. So the problem with money being the root of all evil, not money being evil itself, but money being the root of all evil, is that obviously there's so much money involved in industries and things that are popular. And it's crazy. I mean, I've heard crazy stories like where people buy olive oil and there's like no olive oil in it. Or they buy olive oil and it's like a 50-50 mixture with vegetable oil. I mean, it's crazy. So I joined the what's that thing? Those bottles we get? No, that company we get so it's basically an online olive oil buying club. Does anybody know what it's called? No. Shoot. I can get you guys the information if you're interested. I mean, it's not super cheap. I think I pay $140 a month, but I get 3 bottles of olive oil. So it's expensive. It's like $40. But he has contracted with private growers in Italy, Spain. Like he has contracts with all these different independent farmers in other countries. And it's so 100% extra virgin, purest. So if you want medicinal benefits out of olive oil, you've got to get the pure, clean one. So I'd say that's probably the biggest challenge with olive oil, is getting the quality. It's a buying club. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I can get you the information if you guys want. So yeah, again, heart health, probably olive oil is super famous for skin. So it's in a lot of skin products, a lot of beauty products. It's very good for moisturizing the skin. Ozonated olive oil is amazing. So adding ozone to olive oil. We actually also have an ozonated coconut oil, an ozonated hemp oil, an ozonated castor oil. But olive oil's still kind of the most popular or most famous. It's great for itchy, dry skin. Think about how dry we can get, especially like in the winter and stuff. So that's doing olive oil internally and on the skin is great for kind of counteracting like some of those dry skin issues. Oh, cracked feet. Olive oil is great on like those dry, cracked feet. So is like shea butter, if you've heard of shea butter. But olive oil is amazing for that. All right, salt. Salt gets a bad rap, obviously. Again, you got to use salt the right way. I think salt's amazing for wounds. Have you ever heard about putting salt in a wound? Yes. The thing about it is it works immediately. Yes, it's going to sting for a minute, but man, it works immediately for keeping a wound from getting infected, right? So salt is one of the most crucial minerals to human function. And because of high blood pressure and because of different issues, people get scared of salt. Doctors scare people of salt. I have seen people reverse high blood pressure by taking salt, as counterintuitive as that says. It depends on the person. Some people can't handle excessive salt because they have too much salt in their body and they have imbalances with salt, and they're actually chronically magnesium deficient or potassium deficient. So you can have too much salt in your body and you need to balance it with other minerals, but some people, believe it or not, are sodium deficient. So my favorite way of doing salt is the Soleil method, if you've ever heard of that. Soleil method is Himalayan salt stones, and you put the salt stones in a quart of water, like distilled water, and you let it sit for 24 hours and you have a concentrated salt brine. And then upon waking, you can take a teaspoon up to a tablespoon, put it in a little warm water, drink it. That can flip on light switches for a lot of people. A lot of people have adrenal fatigue. A lot of people, again, are salt deficient, believe it or not. And so that, I think the best way to get salt, maybe I should say it this way, I think the best way to do salt is through liquid. I know we salt our foods, but it's a totally different delivery method for the body versus getting it in, like naturally we'd get trace amounts of salt in our drinking water, right? So I think fluids, and being that the body's a fluid system, water, so like the Soleil method or adding a little salt to your water, or let's say you drink distilled water. You could put a teaspoon in a gallon of distilled water. So here's a statement. You cannot get a single drop of water into any cell of your body without salt. Salt is the mineral that ushers water into your cells. So that's why salt is crucial, and a lot of people are actually salt deficient. So salt, potassium, magnesium are crucial for hydration, which is why people drink electrolytes or do some type of electrolyte drink. We have an adrenal tonic, and our adrenal tonic has salt in it because salt's very important for the adrenal glands. But it also has vitamin C, and it has cream of tartar, which is very high in potassium. So salt's very important for hydration. If you're going to be in the sauna a lot, or you're sweating a lot, or you're doing a lot of exercise and fitness, you really want to make sure you're replacing your salts. Okay? And most people don't have to worry about it affecting their blood pressure. So let's see, what else for salt? Yeah, I talked about Himalayan salt, which I really like Himalayan salt. Sea salt, ocean salt. I'll talk more about when I get to magnesium, because I believe the ocean form of minerals is the best form. I like the Himalayan salt as well, but I really do like sea salt. Let's see what else I'm thinking of for salt. Okay, we'll move on. Oregano. Oregano is another bug killer is probably what it's most famous for, honestly. I think it's the single best thing for fungus. So if anybody knows they have a fungal issue, if you ever had any yellowing of your fingernails or yellowing in your toenails, if you do oregano on a consistent basis, it can clear up fungus. So that would be like candida, yeast issues, fungal issues. So to know how strong oregano oil is, if somebody has a chronic candida, yeast, or fungal issues, they are intolerant to oregano. They take oregano and it freaks their body out and they can't even take it. That's because they have such a systemic yeast problem. I've seen people take oregano and their body breaks out in a rash because their whole body's full of fungus. So oregano is like that strong. So just like other things, quality is so important. That's why I research everything, and you may have noticed I'm sometimes changing products out. I get rid of something or bring something new in. So I always want the best. But North American Herb and Spice, I believe hands down has the best oregano on the market, because they harvest all of their oregano in Turkey and Greece in the mountains over 5,000 feet. So it's wild oregano. You get oregano from another company, even if it's organic. So don't be fooled by organic, right? Because it can be organic, grown in a farm, in a place that's not even natural to where oregano grows, be grown organically, babied, and that oregano is going to be 100 times weaker than the oregano that grows in the mountains in Turkey. Okay, so your quality and your sourcing is huge. Carvacrol, which is the main ingredient in it that has its therapeutic effect. We actually have one that has like an 80% carvacrol, is so strong against fungus, yeast, mold. I've had people do mouth swishes with oregano. North American Herb and Spice has a product called Oregadent. That is a dental product where you add it to your mouth rinse and you swish with it. It's got oregano and clove and some other really good herbs in it. So yeah, you want to get a good quality oregano. I think that's crucial. So I just trust North American Herb and Spice. If I'm going to recommend oregano to somebody, I'm sure there's other good brands out there. A lot of people don't know too that there's over 50 different varieties of oregano. So how do you know which one you're getting, right? Especially if you just buy the stuff at the grocery store. So oregano happens to be something we have in bulk. So if you're going to use it in your food, just buy bulk oregano. Like for that, I mean, seriously, the little bottle you buy in the store, you can probably buy like the equivalent of 15 bottles of it for the same price if you buy it in bulk. So I always encourage people to buy stuff in bulk. So if you look at the traditional modern uses of oregano, it's ridiculous. But you can see a lot of them are related to infectious disease. You see on here scabies, you see Epstein-Barr, candida, thrush, vaginitis. So many conditions related to clearing infections, and a lot of other conditions listed there is a condition caused by an infectious disease organism. So yeah, I love oregano. It's one of my favorite things. So yeah, carvacrol, it actually lists the properties in here, which is cool. The thymol, the terpenes, rosmarinic acid. I mean, God is so amazing in his creation, and all of the phytonutrients or plant nutrients that are contained in every plant were created and designed for our use. And you don't need man-made coal tar-based petrochemicals for your medicine when you know that God made these. And I think they're superior. The nice thing about these kind of medicines is they're very, very strong and potent, but they don't cause harm. Like that's supposed to be the Hippocratic Oath, right? First, do no harm. Okay, we're so far from that right now. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to talk about it. But so here's the thing I maybe just mentioned about oregano and maybe others is, yes, they're very strong. Yes, go slow and be careful. At the same time, I don't think we do a strong enough therapeutic dose to deal with the issues we need to deal with. Okay, so an example would be you have an acute problem. Like let's say you have thrush or you have vaginitis or you're getting urinary tract infections or whatever. People are like, oh, I heard cranberry is good. And they go get a cranberry juice. I'm like, have a little cup of cranberry juice. No, like you need to take oregano capsules, 2 capsules every 2 hours and knock that thing out. We need to be using these things as medicine, therapeutically, high doses. And it's crazy how effective they are and how quickly they work. I mean, I've seen oregano time and time again from our customers be like, yep, I get a little cold or flu and I start hitting the oregano every couple hours and boom, just knock it out. So, and again, the goal is not to avoid sickness, but whatever the body's trying to clear, here's how I'd say it. Whatever the body's trying to clear. I don't know if you guys know this, but all sickness is good. You guys believe me? So all sickness is the body's attempt to remove or expel a toxin or a poison because you're made in the image of God. And the toxins and poisons aren't supposed to be there. So we have made sickness this bad, evil, wrong thing. Now, we don't like it. We know there's a problem. We know we don't want our kids to be sick, but there's a reason we're sick. So we want to do these things that partner with what the body's trying to do. So if the body's trying to expel, right, or remove a virus or a fungus or whatever's making us sick, then we need to take the medicine that helps the process. And that's the difference between natural health and the medical system, is the medical system gives you drugs to suppress and stop the symptoms. So you're actually working against God's design. You're working against how your body was designed to work by trying to stop what God's naturally trying to do in your body. So I'm really big on partnering with how God designed us to work. So sorry, I got a little bit on the soapbox there. All right, so magnesium. So what do we got left? Just magnesium and baking soda. So we'll go another 10 minutes and then we'll do questions. So I wanted to end with magnesium and baking soda because, man, I think these are the 2 most powerful things. I am actually decided I need to do a class series next year just on minerals. We need to just talk about minerals because vitamins get a lot of attention, I guess I could say, and rightfully so. We need vitamins. I would say minerals are 10 times more crucial than any vitamin in your body. Why? The Lord God formed man out of the dust of the earth. The reality is your body cannot and will not work properly without the proper mineral balance. And so many diseases we have today, and problems we have, and illnesses people are suffering from, and things they go to the doctor for are because the minerals in your body aren't right. And so at the top of that list is magnesium. Now, we've all heard it 1,000 times. Who's heard we're magnesium deficient? I mean, y'all should be raising your hand, right? We all have heard that like a bazillion times. I just really try to drive home the crucial importance of it because I've seen high dose therapeutic magnesium completely change people's lives. I'm big on the magnesium oil foot soaks. I'm big on using magnesium chloride specifically. I gave you a whole article in here just on magnesium chloride. And it really is a miraculous thing. So here's what's really cool. So I have the blue ocean minerals out there, which I've been recommending. I have a palette of minerals on the way called quintessence, or they're Canton minerals. They're out of Canada. So I don't know how challenging it's going to be to get them in, but eventually I believe it's going to show up. But they are ocean minerals from a pure source off the coast of France. Because again, there's quality issues in our world today. But I'm super excited about these minerals. So here's why. Salt water, we can't drink, right? If you evaporate out the sodium, the main mineral that's in salt water is magnesium chloride. Magnesium chloride is the best perfect form of magnesium that human beings need. Now, there's all kinds of magnesium out there, and there's magnesium oxide, magnesium glycinate, magnesium this and that and whatever, which are all just magnesium bound with other minerals, like magnesium sulfates bound with sulfur, okay? Those are fine. But magnesium chloride is a salt. It's a salt form of magnesium, and it comes from the ocean. Now, here's crazy. During World War II, when they ran out of blood for blood transfusions, they learned that they could use ocean water to do blood transfusions and save people's lives. If you go to the hospital today for an emergency, they hook you up to an IV drip, which is usually baking soda sometimes, saline, which is salt water, or magnesium. They use minerals to save people's lives, and then they don't prescribe minerals for treatment.
Right.
Right? Or even explain it to people what they're doing. So if you evaporate salt out of ocean water, it has the exact same mineral composition as human blood. That's mind-blowing to me. All the minerals you need, imbalance of your blood and your lymphatic fluid is the same in ocean water as in your blood. So literally drinking ocean-based minerals, again, by taking the salt out, is like restoring your blood. It's like cleansing and purifying your blood. It's like getting a blood transfusion. Now, it's going to take time, right? Your body has thousands of miles of blood vessels and lymphatic vessels, and it'll take time, but it'll start to restore so many things in your body. I was talking about these new minerals I'm bringing in. There's tons of articles and stuff I have on them, but they have researched these ocean minerals for fertility and found women who were infertile started drinking the minerals and started having babies. They recommend, in other countries, they recommend women after they give birth to drink like a whole bottle of these ocean minerals to completely restore and replenish their blood. So I think magnesium is a big deal, but I think the quality and the source is crucial. So Health and Wisdom, which is actually a company based here in Missouri, they're awesome, but we have the magnesium oil for foot soaks. We have the magnesium bath crystals. And everything they have is magnesium chloride, which I think's the best form. Again, I'm not saying there's not other good forms out there, but I think it's the best form. Some people would tell you glycinate or gluconate's the best form because it's plant-based, and that's a great form too. I would say ocean is the best source, and then plant would be the next best source. That's my opinion. So we can't even get into what magnesium does because just of the very little we know in science, we know it does at least 400 different functions in the human body. So if you live in America and you have any stress in your life, or you drink coffee or anything that's not water, right? The chance you might be magnesium deficient, right? Now, here's a mind-blowing thing. Somebody has a book on it that told me about this, but I'd be interested to see it. I don't know who's done all these kind of studies and things like that, but it is well known that pharmaceutical drugs all deplete different minerals and nutrients from our body. And many, many, many pharmaceutical drugs deplete the body of magnesium. So not only are pharmaceutical drugs toxic because they're coal tar based and cause all kinds of side effects, because you can just read the sheet if anybody actually reads the sheet, but it also depletes your body of the things you need. Again, this is not medicine. This is not science. This is greed and profit to me. So especially when there's better alternatives out there. So I really believe everyone should be on magnesium and the right form. And at the very least, like if you take a bath, like take a magnesium bath. Epsom salts is magnesium sulfate combined with sulfur. I think Epsom salts are the best for sore muscles. Nothing else. It will not replenish your lost magnesium in your body. So I just want to say that because I know Epsom salts are popular, and Epsom salts are great if you're sore or you just worked out real hard or whatever. Do an Epsom salt bath. But if you want to restore magnesium in your body, do magnesium chloride. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here on magnesium and all the things it helps with. I mean, I've seen it help people with seizures and like serious nervous system disorders because magnesium's so crucial for calming the nervous system. So if you're deficient in magnesium, you're going to have nervous system problems. And you can link nervous system problems to many, many different disorders and disease conditions. I've seen people take magnesium who are magnesium deficient and start going to the bathroom twice a day that were constipated because they were chronically magnesium deficient. So it relaxes all the smooth muscles in the body. So you could read those articles if you want. I'll finish with baking soda. Baking soda is bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate, and everybody has it in their house. And I believe it's one of the, if not the most undervalued, underappreciated tools for medicine that we all have at our fingertips. Now, you don't necessarily know if you're acidic unless you maybe do a test. I check it in blood work. I check CO2 and I check anion gap to check to see if somebody's blood is acidic. But 98% of people who I've done blood work with have metabolic acidosis. I have 2 people within the last year who went to the emergency room with extreme anxiety and heart palpitations. And I knew that it was metabolic acidosis, and we put them on baking soda and it pulled it out of them and they're recovering. So baking soda and magnesium for anybody with rapid heartbeat, irregular heartbeat, anxiety. It's interesting. I had this friend who was having these symptoms and he was looking for help, right? And it's like everybody he talked to is like, yeah, I've had that same issue. I'm like, this is like an epidemic issue. Like he's talking to his pastor. He's got people praying for him. He's talking to his people in his church. Yeah, I've had that happen too. I'm not saying there's not other issues. I'm not saying there's not emotional issues and spiritual issues, but oh my gosh, we're just chronically deficient in the basic things that God decided in his wisdom that we need in our bodies to function. And I think magnesium is huge, and I think our blood being acidic is a major problem. So here's the problem with acidosis. Acidosis, I believe you can link to every chronic illness. Because when the blood's acidic, what does acid do? Acid damages and degenerates and dissolves tissue. We all would have learned this in chemistry class. We learn about acids and bases, right? So if you have acids on your tissue, it's going to burn your tissue. So if your blood's acidic and your tissues are acidic, it's going to burn and damage, break down your tissues. The other thing about acids is infectious disease organisms live in an acidic environment, and they cannot live in an alkaline environment. This is actually, like, we're not getting into it in this class, but this is actually the key for cancer treatment, is acid alkaline. And it's not talked about. And there's tons of research out there. But if you can alkalize the system and oxygenate the system, any disorder will heal itself. It'll resolve. Again, because that's how God designed it. So I'm a big believer in using baking soda, empty stomach, upon waking and before bed. If you've never done it before, just start with a 1/4 teaspoon when you wake up, 1/4 teaspoon before bed. I've seen it resolve so many issues. I had a gal who was newly married, had chronic vaginitis, been literally every day for a year and struggling and trying all kinds of, trying over-the-counter stuff, trying natural stuff, trying all the stuff. I had her do a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda when she woke up and before bed, and by the time she came back the next month, she goes, it's all completely resolved.
Much water.
Just a glass of water. Yeah, however much you want. It all disappeared. And I'm seeing that time and time and time again. So if you have any infection, if you have any bladder infection, for you women, if you have any vaginal issues related to infections or pain or anything like that, baking soda. I'm telling you, like, why? Again, I shouldn't say why, because you know why, but it's like, why don't we know about these things, right? Why aren't we taught these things? Why aren't we taught that we have medicine in our house that we can use? So strongly encourage you to look more into baking soda. Again, there's books written about it. Dr. Mark Sirkis has wrote books about it. I'm using it therapeutically for, pretty much everyone I'm working with, because everybody's in some state of acidosis. Another visual I give people with acidosis is if you have a clear mountain stream in the Rocky Mountains at 10,000 feet, and it's a flowing stream. We actually did this. We went to Maroon Bells in Colorado. We saw this crystal clear pond, and I'm like, let's go hike and find out where the water's coming from that's filling this pond. We found a spring coming out of the water. So what did we do? We went down there and we drank out of it. I have zero issues drinking out of, we filled our water bottles with it. I have no issues drinking out of pure, clean water source that comes out of the ground, because that's how God designed it. But if I go down the road and there's a green stagnant pond full of algae and growing mosquitoes, I'm not going to drink that water. Well, you could just be like, well, they're both water. What's the problem? Well, the problem is acid or alkaline. Your bodies are a water system. It's a fluid system. So if it's alkaline, you'll be well. If it's acidic, it becomes a home for infectious disease organisms, which is why baking soda literally could be called like a cure-all for most any disease known to man. Did I bring that crazy book? Yeah, this one. Alkalize or Die. Yeah, that's an intense title. So, but yeah, it's all about acid-alkaline balance, and there's a lot of research found on that. Dr. Robert O. Young was really interesting because he actually took organisms, living organisms, and expose them to different things. He actually, it's called pleomorphism. It's a crazy word, I had to think. Pleomorphism, where these little bacteria would change into fungus and other more harmful organisms based on the environment it lived in. And then if you added oxygen or added other things, the organisms would change back to these harmless organisms. So if you've ever heard that everybody has cancer in their body or everybody has viruses in their body or whatever, I believe there's some truth to that, only because I run labs on people and we're checking antibodies. And when I check for Lyme disease, for example, nobody's antibodies show 0. There's always some measurement. So there's always some antibodies present. It comes down to, is your body an environment for infectious disease? Or is your body a healthy, balanced, alkaline environment for health? And I really think that is a key to human health that we don't talk about enough, that we all need to learn more about, and we all need to start learning how to practically, bring these things into our life. So all in there. So questions? Thanks. Yes.
What does it mean? I'm often hearing something needs to cross the blood-brain barrier. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, because the brain is so crucially important, there's controversy over it, so I don't want to get into it, but there is mechanisms in the body that protect the brain from certain substances and don't allow it through. So literally, like even normal things we would eat shouldn't get into the brain. So there's a protective mechanism to block that. And so, yeah, that's what that means. Yes.
It's always best to be organic, clean type thing, but do you have a certain cleaner to clean your produce with in case if you're not able to always get organic or?
So there's a couple options. One is you can fill up your sink and you can add hydrogen peroxide. You can add apple cider vinegar. Most of the veggie washes that you buy $7 for that little tiny bottle, it's just like apple cider vinegar water. So you can do it yourself. For $99, we sell little ozone machines. I think it's a great investment. We fill up our sink, we put our apples and our grapes and our stuff in there, and I stick the ozone thing in it, hit the timer for 10 minutes, and we just ozonated all of our fruit. So that's what we do. We just use the ozonator. Yeah, those are a couple of different ways to do it. I saw, no? Online, any questions? Go ahead.
One, people are asking if they get no, so that's just a no.
Yes, sorry. Yes, thank you.
Can you repeat the blood in ocean water statement? They sound exactly alike in a way.
What I said is if you evaporate salt out of ocean water, it has the same mineral composition as human blood. Or actually, more specifically, extracellular fluid, which is lymphatic, it actually is more similar to the composition of lymph fluid. So not only is it going to cleanse your blood, but it's going to cleanse your lymphatic system, which is if you cleanse your lymphatic system, you cleanse your blood, because the lymphatic system is the sewer system that ushers all the toxins out of your blood. So again, the statement is if you evaporate salt out of ocean water, it's the same mineral composition as human lymph and blood.
A few more. One is it safe to take baking soda therapeutically during pregnancy?
Absolutely. Yes. So is it safe to take baking soda therapeutically while pregnant? 100%. Yeah. And in fact, again, I think it would be a crucially important mineral to take along with magnesium. Any basic mineral is going to be, safe to take when you're pregnant. The only thing I say about baking soda is make sure you do it on an empty stomach. You never do baking soda with food because it can offset and dilute your stomach acid, and you need strong stomach acid to digest your food. So don't do baking soda with food. But other than that, it's perfectly safe. I'm not saying you can't take too much because you can take too much of anything. Okay, if I put a cup of baking soda in here and drink it, I don't know, I'd probably be really sick. I don't know what would happen. I haven't tried it. You're probably surprised I haven't tried it. But you can overdo anything. But because of mineral deficiencies and acidosis issues, in most people, it would be really, really, really hard to do too much baking soda, especially if you're just putting a little bit in water and drinking it. So, yes.
Okay, I really have a lot of questions, but I have heard recently that baking soda, when you open the package, is really only good for 3 months. Is that only for baking? I mean, can we use like a 6-month-old or a year?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Now, I do recommend food grade baking soda, which we have here. I would not recommend Arm & Hammer or whatever XYZ brand. Yeah, especially because it can be known to be high in aluminum, depending on the source.
Okay.
So,
Other question. So the oregano I'm growing in my garden, I should just use as a herb in cooking,
yes.
but don't be making any tinctures.
I mean, you can, but it's probably not going to have a very strong therapeutic effect. But great for your food and cooking and seasoning and all that. But if you want it for medicine, you definitely want to get the good stuff. Time? I mean, it'd be the same. Yeah, because of the sourcing. Yeah. Yes.
The last example you used where the microorganisms were changing,
Right.
it sounds like terrain theory.
It is.
So what are we going with in this setting? Germ theory or terrain theory?
It's terrain theory. Yeah. The terrain's absolutely the most important. So what he's referring to is Louis Pasteur versus Antoine Béchamp. Back in the day, one said germs cause disease, and the other one said, no, it's the environment. So it's the environment, because it's the environment that creates and attracts or allows the infectious disease organisms to live there. Now, do I do parasite cleanses? Do I give people oregano for fungus? 100%. Because people's bodies are so overloaded with these infectious disease organisms that you need to clear some of this stuff out. That's why you can have a yeast infection and take oregano and knock it out. Okay, but until you change the environment long term, that's when you restore health so that these, issues don't become issues long term. So this is why women might have reoccurring urinary tract infections or yeast infections. Just using that example because it's an easy example. They go to the doctor, get an antibiotic, they knock it out. 3 months later, happens again, they go to the doctor, get it. You've never changed the terrain. You're just trying to kill the bug. So you kind of got to do both, but obviously the most important is changing the terrain. Yes, great question.
So, for instance, I do use it right now every year around like winter time.
Right.
I get strep throat. And I usually do a spoonful of olive oil and a drop of oregano. And
Cool.
It knocks it out every year.
Yeah.
But kind of point to your every year. So is there like a root cause there that is not being fixed, or what does that mean? Or
It's a good question. I mean, yes, something is manifesting because if you're getting sick, again, the body's trying to cleanse or expel something. So yeah, that it maybe go back to the terrain theory. Maybe the terrain's not quite there yet. And that's why I think the minerals, the magnesium, that's why I need to do a whole class series just on minerals, because if you can restore proper mineral balance, I think that can be a key to long-term health and the terrain issues. Yes.
I had 2 questions. First is sea moss a good candidate for getting magnesium chloride? Is it kind of
Yeah. I don't know how high sea moss is in magnesium. I know sea moss supposedly has 102 minerals and it's like a perfect, supplement for a lot of different things. I would assume it has some iodine in it too, but I don't know the magnesium content, but I would assume it would be good. I'm a big fan of sea moss for sure. It's very popular.
2 is what would be the best route to get your body to an alkaline state so that you can start absorbing things correctly?
Yeah, so to get your body into an alkaline state, I think it's diet. There are alkaline diets. There are alkaline food charts. I have different ones that I give to people sometimes. You want to try to, a general rule of thumb is try to eat 80% alkaline, 20% acidic, but that can get confusing. But basically alkaline, to keep it simple, is fruits and vegetables, and mainly your green vegetables. Those are the most alkalizing things you can eat. And then minerals. So I mentioned baking soda only because the pH of baking soda is 9.5. So it's the quickest way therapeutically to start to alter and change your terrain and the acidosis issue. But all of the minerals, especially the electrolyte minerals, are crucial because they're all alkaline. So magnesium, calcium, potassium, sodium are all alkalizing minerals that our body must have. And in fact, I believe one of the biggest causes of bone loss and osteoporosis today is because our bodies are so acidic that the body will leach calcium from your bones to offset the acidosis problem. Again, everything your body does is by design to keep you alive because God is good and you're designed in His image. So there's a reason these things are happening. And it's all protective mechanisms God put in place in our bodies to keep us healthy and alive in spite of the problems, in spite of the deficiencies or the toxicities. So do we have another one online, Joshua?
3 more.
Go for it.
Next one was tips for treating external hemorrhoids.
External hemorrhoids, I mainly have used a healing salve for over a decade. It's called Healing Salve by Herbally Grounded. It's very basic. It's olive oil, beeswax, comfrey, and plantain. And that works phenomenal. I've also used ozonated oils. So like an ozonated coconut oil or ozonated olive oil topically is great. But the Healing Salve's nice. You just take a big clump of it and you just stick it right up there before bed, especially if it's an external hemorrhoid. Yeah. What else?
Can you use oregano for hair scalp?
Yes, we at North American Herb and Spice. They're such an amazing company. They actually have a shampoo and a conditioner, and the shampoo is called Scalp Cleanse. So if you like our kids, when they had cradle cap, we didn't use oregano, but we used apple cider vinegar. And my wife took apple cider vinegar and coconut oil, right, and combined it, and then with her nails scrubbed all over the kid's head. And kids asked to do it. They're like, "It feels so good, Mom. Can you do the scalp thing again?" But what it did is all the dead skin and the cradle cap and all that stuff just fluffed off and it was gone. So yeah, oregano's great for the scalp.
Last one was, what are the tinctures you talked about with cayenne pepper that you take in the morning?
Yeah, so Dr. Christopher has a hot cayenne tincture. Yeah, so she was asking what tincture was I referring to related to cayenne pepper? So Dr. Christopher has a hot cayenne, and that's the main one we use. So just because it's really strong.
Shelf life on apple cider vinegar. Is it?
I mean, I would like to say, it's years. I don't know how long.
It's in plastic. I got a gallon that's in plastic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think obviously if it's in plastic and it is acidic, it could leach some of the plastic out. So you'd probably want to use it sooner than later or transfer it to glass.
Lemon, you didn't say anything about limes.
Mm-hmm.
And or are they as good as lemons?
Yeah,
And
lemons or limes.
California olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
In your olive oil club, did they ever?
I don't know. No, I don't think any of the olive oils that I get in the club are from California. I think they're all from overseas.
Yeah,
And I think part of that is because of just the poor standards, and the FDA has such poor standards for food quality in America that it's hard to trust things in America anymore.
vineyards, at least in the Russian River Valley, they're all growing olives.
Yeah.
They're grapes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. One more? Are we done? Yes. Black seed oil is amazing. That's cumin. That's, oh my gosh. Yeah, it could probably be on the list. It's that big. It's that popular. Diabetes and blood sugar issues, it's huge. It's great for the skin. It's actually has a lot of research behind being anti-cancer, anti-tumor. So people are taking it for cancer. Yeah. Digestion. Yeah, I'm a big fan for sure. Definitely could be on the list. All right, cool. Well, thanks guys. I was going to share just an idea of the classes next year. We're going to start January with a cleansing 101, just because it's January, it's after the holidays. We're going to talk about colon cleansing and different kinds of things like that. We're going to do a class on preconception and fertility. I want to do a whole series on minerals, parasites. Going to do a series on being your own doctor. We kind of talked about that in one of the classes, but just empowering people to be your own doctor at home, take care of yourself, take care of your kids, only go to the doctor for emergencies, but be able to take care of everything else at home. What's in our medicine cabinet, that kind of stuff. I want to do a little class series on blood work. I'm just such a big fan of blood work, and I think blood work's so powerful that I want to talk to you guys about the difference between how the medical system looks at blood work and how we look at blood work, how the ranges are different, what you can actually see in your blood work. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Mold, we're gonna do one on mold, one on digestion, hormones, one on 101, just a basic hormone class, a class on water. And I wanna do another class series on getting off of meds, like teaching people how to get off common medications, whether it's blood pressure meds or statin drugs or anxiety drugs or whatever. And then we're going to do some master classes next year. So far, we got chronic women's hormones, illnesses, master class, one on children's chronic health issues, PANS, PANDAS, autism, eczema, things like that. And then a master class on chronic pain. So that's the plan for next year. But we get a schedule. We'll email you guys and get it all out there. So thanks, guys. That's the last class of the year. So happy holidays.